Cannibals are sweeping across the globe, eating people's body parts, and Glenn Beck believes that this is a sign of the end times. How does he know that? Because he's been reading the Book of Mormon. Now, before I absolutely tear apart his ridiculous argument, let's let him tell it in his own words.
Towards the very end, one of the last books, it talks about, and everything is to repeat itself, and it talks about how the enemies that they were up against at that time were into cannibalism, and they were eating people as a sign of bravery and courage. And when I saw the video of two videos, one in Russia, where the Russian rebels are eating people, the Russian drug lords are actually eating their enemies. And when I saw the video of a soldier in the groups that we are arming stand on a battlefield and cut the chest open and take a beating heart out of a dead body, cut him open, take it out and eat it, and use it as courage, I thought to myself, I know this calendar. I've seen this movie before. I warn you, we are in very dangerous times. We are living in biblical times. I told my staff a long time ago, when you hear me start talking about God, you'll know we're at a different DEFCON level. When you start hearing me use the words Jesus Christ on the air, because I know what it does to my popularity, I know what it does to, I know what it does. And I know how it makes you a new crazy Christian kook. And I said we will be at a much different DEFCON level when I start saying Jesus Christ and quoting the Bible. If you ever hear me mention the Book of Mormon on the air, we are at the end.
So Glenn Beck has been reading these 150 or so year-old religious texts and believes that they are directly speaking to the current situation in Syria, Russia, the United States, and things of that sort. Now look, this is ridiculous. I don't want to down on any Mormons. They seem like lovely people, all that I've met, lovely people. But as with any religion, not just Mormonism, trying to directly read modern political circumstances and contexts into the historic books of the Book of Mormon, or go back a couple thousand years. I mean, you could go to the Torah, the Quran, the Bible, and things of that sort, is obviously ridiculous. Now look, the situation in Syria is incredibly rough, and we have seen videos showing cannibalism. It's not entirely clear to me that it's not just propaganda put out by the government of Syria, because it seems perfectly designed to discredit the movement. And I have a feeling that one person eating the heart of a dead soldier is not exactly necessarily representative of the entire rebel movement in Syria. But look, I don't want to be on the side of cannibals. I think most people don't. We've seen the movies. They're scary people. I don't like zombies. Don't want to side with them. But I think that Glenn Beck is really reaching here. Now look, he is suffering under a couple of very harsh circumstances. He has to fill a lot of air every single day, very rough. His audience they're a bunch of insane people, and so you have to be increasingly insane to keep them satisfied. It's like pornography. It has to get more and more hardcore, or people can't get off. And he's got a bunch of psychos that want to get politically off. And so he is obligated at this point to say this sort of crazy stuff. And if he can mix religion into it, all the better for his insane audience. And look, we like to point out when Glenn Beck says crazy things. This week he talked about the fact that he is a whistleblower who's going to take down the entire U.S. government. That has not happened yet. I think it's unlikely that it will happen. But the whole that we're moving into the end times thing, look, cannibals are not a sign of that. The struggle between the Syrian rebels and the government of Assad is not a sign of that. What we're seeing in Syria right now is something that's been played out in a number of countries over the last few thousand years. It's a rebel movement against an authoritarian government. Happens all the time, unfortunately. It doesn't happen as often now in the modern times because we've generally stamped down most of that. And look, I don't know exactly how the U.S. or the Russian government are going to proceed from here, but I think that regardless of what path they take, their policies are not going to be chosen because of the influence of cannibals. And I think that if any of you are somehow viewers of this program and Glenn Beck, Anytime you hear talk of the end times, you need to take it with a grain of salt, because this sort of discussion has been going on for the last 2,000 years. And the reason they want you to believe that Jesus is about to come down from the heavens and the world is about to end is because if you believe that the world has less than 50 or so years left to go, you will agree to almost any crazy policy, because why not? There's no real consequences if the world is going to disappear next week. That plays into what they want, their policy preferences, but not necessarily yours. So whether it's Glenn Beck, whether it's Alex Jones, whether it's Pat Robertson or one of these other evangelical preachers, be very careful when you hear talk of the end times.